I need to share the link with my mum.
Nice. I think it's now good to go. Yeah, that live button's come up. Look at that. Beautiful.
Oh, I can see myself. Hang on, I'm just going to send it to my mum before we start.
Man.
She might be on it already.
Yes.
Right.
All right. Wicked.
Yeah.
Hannah, thank you so much for joining just me today. Poor old Rich is stuck in work. The son of a bitch didn't get off.
Yeah, he's getting hammered in work though. So.
Yeah, he's loving it. He's like, oh yeah, I'm so glad to be back in a bar because I got made redundant.
Oh, these are the troubling times, my friend. We're all scrambling for work.
I know.
So many people coming to the pub I work in being like, oh, you work here, like with a tinge of and I'm like, well, yeah, because 2 of my jobs are events based and I got no money coming in. Like, come on, lads. Can be I'm having a lovely time slinging craft ale to the public.
That's it. Yeah, I had I mean, don't mind like people like messaging me stuff about like work and stuff, but yeah, I sort of had a few people sort of crawling out of the woodwork being like, oh, do you have any hours, or is this paying you and stuff? And I'm like, no, there are no hours and there's no money anywhere.
No money, no events, no music. Music's banned.
Nothing. It's all gone. That's it. Oh man. Well,
what do you want, Penny? Tell me what you're drinking, my friend, on this
today. I'm enjoying one of these delicious pint cans of Foster's. Well, I say one. I got another one here. 4 pints from 550.
What a deal.
What about yourself, Han? What have you got?
I've got like a 16-pound like passion fruit sour that I bought a while ago and I've been saving for a special occasion such as
Here we are.
I tell you, it's delicious.
Yeah, it looks nice. Also, thank you so much for picking up these little tiny bottles of Jägermeister we're going to enjoy later.
We've got the bombs on the go.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be a conversation between us without some Jaeger bombs involved.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, it's not.
It's really weird for you because like I'm the first person you've interviewed that like you work with. Like,
yeah. It's quite strange. I sort of have to pretend like we're not like good mates, which I've already failed at. So.
Or are you going to be asking me questions and I'm going to be like, well, you know.
Because you know this. Yeah, you already know. That's it, man. That's it. But okay, presenter, interviewer, based on. Okay, Hannah Morgan, thank you so much for joining us. Event manager in Cardiff, founder of Team Up Cardiff and co-founder of Heads Above the Waves. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, madam. I don't know why I said madam. I'm enjoying this.
Or address me like that before. How many of those tall cans have you had?
Oh, not many.
Oh my God.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Are you okay? What have you been up to today?
I went to Corporation Yard for some street food with my lovely gentleman caller Ed. Very nice. I've just been out with a few of the Team Up DJs for a couple of pints. And I might go out afterwards. After this, I might go back out.
Yeah, that's it.
Or I might be like, oh God, what did I just chat about for an hour? I need to go and hang my head in shame somewhere.
Oh man, no, that sounds good. I've been to Fuel a couple of times now since it's reopened, and it is nice sort of like having that. It's not quite a club night, obviously, it's not quite events, but it's quite nice. Sort of the alfresco Cardiff street drinking.
Yeah, it's nice to be back on Womanby Street, man. It's such an important like street in Cardiff. It's just nice to be there soaking up the vibes, and if you close your eyes you can almost feel like life's normal again. And you know, I mean, you're sanitizing a lot and you've got masks on, but you almost feel like I can relax and have a nice time with my pals, which is really important, I think. Right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, I know the first like week I was back in work, it was almost like an out-of-body experience, like after not really seeing anyone for so long. And it was like when I bumped into you the other day, and we were on, just by Richmond Road, and it's like just still not quite used to like seeing people on the fly.
Your natural instinct is to sort of give them a hug, or a firm handshake in our case, my friend. A slap on the bum. But like realistically you can't, so you're just awkwardly like elbow.
Oh, hello. Yeah, good to see you.
Should we do a bit of that now, mate?
Right there you are.
I did not know you had an anchor on your elbow. Is that an anchor?
No, it's like
yeah, that one. I've seen
arrows.
That when you bend your elbow, it looks like an anchor.
Looking like an anchor, yeah. Like that would be very pop punk, wouldn't it, if it was an anchor?
It would be.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. It's just
I have 6 anchor tattoos.
6, half a dozen. Oh wow, that's impressive.
Sweet Jesus.
No, it's good though, man. So yeah, thanks for joining us today. Well, I say us, me. To talk about events and stuff on the topic of that. Do you mind, like, I guess, going into a bit how you initially got into it and like that interest in music and putting on shows and things?
Yeah, man. Well, so like my parents always loved music and were really into all sorts of different music. So we grew up like listening to music a lot. Yeah. And then I think I went to see Boyzone when I was like 10 with my mum in the CIA. It was class. Peter Andre supported. Incredible scenes. I was very certain I was going to marry Stephen Gately. I was unaware he was a lovely gay gentleman at the time. But, I was madly in love, and Boyzone were my first big music crush. And then I think when I was maybe like 11 or 12, I went to visit like my family in Leeds, and my cousins played Green Day to me. I think it was like When I Come Around. And it's not like the rockiest or riffiest or like biggest like alt song out there, but I was just like, whoa, like they look really cool, and I really like this. And just like I guess like a switch flipped in my brain where I was like, right, this is the kind of stuff that I like. And then I just started going to gigs like at home, like local shows. And then my poor dad would, bless him, drive me up to like Newport and pick me up at like 3 a.m. Or I think once he drove me to Nottingham to see Rancid, and back one day, and he waited outside the venue in Nottingham for a few hours. There's lots of lovely Nottingham folk having encounters with him. And I think even he was stood by like Rancid's tour bus, so they came off stage and he was like, lads, got on their best and stuff. So my dad was an absolute hero, and I think just knew how much music meant to me, and was like taking me to gigs all over the country. They drove me up to see Britney Spears as well in Manchester with my baby sister in the back of the car, and like they were really good parents in like nurturing that kind of aspect of my life. And I think as I realized quite quickly that I wasn't someone who had like musical ability to play the music, but I was such a fan and wanted to be around like musicians and gigs and go to shows all the time, that I was like, right, how can I be more involved in this? And I think I just was like, I'm going to just start putting gigs on so I can see the bands that I want to see. So I started putting on little shows here and there, and I'd get my like dad to like help me ring up venues that were like pretty big venues in like Pembrokeshire, which is where I'm from, in like West Wales. And I'd put on like local bands. I don't even remember what I was doing, but the most important thing for me was the CD for in between the bands. And my poor dad would be on the door being like the security for the night, and I just running around, incredible. Like jumping about with my friends and like making sure that the playlist was sick in between bands. And I don't know if I was paying the band. I don't even know what I was doing, but it was just something I fell into. So I just put on gigs like for ages. And then I started doing little like promo companies and stuff. And it just all got like really mad and out of control. And then I had like I was like away in uni putting on gigs, and it just like followed me. And I just loved bands and loved live music. And then my brother passed away like really suddenly in an accident in 2007, and that just kind of like turned everything on its head. And I had a bit of a breakdown. I had a few years off life, moved home, and didn't really do anything, and was in a pretty bad place mental health wise. And then I started putting on gigs again, because I got to a point where I was like, I can't just keep like drinking and just not being in a good place. I need to do something in my life. So I was like, what did I used to enjoy when I was like a teenager? Putting on gigs. So I started putting on gigs again. And then I was like, I'm going to go back to uni. So I applied for like some like English courses in places to like finish off my degree. And then I, on a whim, kind of applied for an events management course in Cardiff. And I got in, don't know how, and moved up to Cardiff, moved in with my best mate who was up here and had just qualified as a nurse, and we got a little house together. And then I did events management for 3 years at uni, which was an experience. And then I worked as an events manager in a varsity bar, which were like the big kind of like scream, like student-y bars at the time. So I did that for a good few years. And then my friend, I'd heard about a club night in town that was like a pop punk night, and I was like, well, this sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
And I popped down, and I made friends with the girl that ran it, Daisy, and she was like, I'm going traveling, I'm looking for someone to take over. Would you consider doing that? So I took over the night with my friend Pete, and we did that for a Pete, and then Pete left, and after a while we turned the club night into my own night and took over and made a new brand, and that is
Shout out Team Up,
that we know as Team Up now.
Indeed.
So yeah, that's been my trajectory. That was long.
It was good, man. No, it was really good. I really liked hearing about it. You know, like
I flick a light on, dude, because it's really dark. I didn't realize. Yeah. I'm like,
you're a freak.
Sorry.
Oh god, no, it's all good, man. No, I like hearing that story because obviously we've known each other for a few years, but it's interesting hearing that sort of like the start of it all, you know, because I think I guess in a similar sort of way, we're not, you know, our sort of like origin story is not dissimilar because like we don't have any sort of like musical knowledge or anything either. So
man, I tried to be in so many bands, and I've tried to like play guitar and stuff.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I'm just not that way inclined, and that's fine. But the way I can help and what I am good at is that I'm really good at organizing and managing people and like being bossy and getting stuff done. You're like, yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna put on a show.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Spiraled. Yeah.
It's funny hearing about that because obviously that was all super fresh for you at the time. But when I first met you, I just sort of knew you as like the boss, you know. I just sort of messaged on a whim to start flying for Team Up. How was that like doing gigs and then moving into club nights then? Was there sort of a transitional period, or what was the sort of the difference between the two, do you think?
Well, I guess for anyone watching who doesn't know who I am, I run Team Up. We should probably say what that is because we obviously know what Team Up is, but like, yeah, Team Up is like was for a really long time like the Friday pop punk, emo and rock kind of night. Obviously you've got the lovely crew at Metro's doing their thing, which is great. But yeah, Luke's come in and given it a big facelift and whatnot. But just before Luke came in, we were doing Team Up, and the night before that for a few years, and just kind of really pushing that kind of like engaged with like young people in the scene and like pop punk and emo and rock and all the music, but we also play like pop music too. So all of a sudden you'll be like moshing to System of a Down, and then like Taylor Swift will come on, much to the chagrin of some people who are like, no, get this rubbish off. But we're like, yes, it's really
nothing but rock.
Yeah. We get a lot of like reviews on Facebook and messages from people being like, this is rubbish now, and we're like, we played pop music. We used to have a room dedicated to pop music at Team Up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
2 rooms, 1 great party. That was the tagline, wasn't it? Yeah. I think that, for a while when Bunker sized down, it was just 1 room, 1 party, and it didn't really have the same ring. Didn't have the same ring.
Engage the crowd and keep them. Anyway. So that's what I do is a run, and now we're a monthly night. So our venue shut down just at the very start of January after a really cracking New Year's Eve party, and then I got a call just saying that the venue was shutting down out of the blue, which was great. And so just before lockdown happened, we were going to start at Kong's doing a monthly night, and then we went into lockdown a week before we would have had our first Team Up, which
good times.
Yeah, so we're just like, but the crossover from gigs, I guess like, I don't know, I was just like doing gigs and I wasn't really doing much in Cardiff. I think the first friends I made in Cardiff were like house DJs, and I tried to do a couple of little bits and like get involved there just because I was trying to give like a space for my friends to play their music and do like produce their music and play it to our other mates and stuff, but nothing really like took off, or I had like issues with venues and stuff. So I was feeling a bit dejected, and I tried to like join back into like the hardcore scene in Cardiff because I was really into that music, but I didn't feel like super welcome with the crew that were there at the time, who maybe were a bit like, why is this girl like trying to 2-step and windmill and stuff, and no one knew me. So, and I think sometimes music scenes can be a bit cliquey, so I was just kind of like a bit lost, I suppose, and a bit like, where's my niche? Where's my friends? And I need to kind of get involved in something that gives me a purpose, but also relates to stuff that I'm really into, which is why it's a blessing that I took over my friend Daisy's job and then created Team Up off of the back of that. So, there was interesting. There's definitely transferable skills there for sure, of like management and like booking bands, because we obviously have bands to DJ and stuff.
It's interesting you mentioned like the sort of like the community thing and feeling a bit like displaced in different scenes, because that can happen. And I remember, well, the reason I stuck around working for you for so long was because that was always something that you really pushed. And when I was working for you, I remember thinking like, this is so nice to work for like a boss who cares, and like about the work you do and the people who went there and the staff and everything like that, you know, because as we were talking about a little bit beforehand, at the time, it's funny saying like at the time now, 7 years ago is quite a while, isn't it? At the time, like club nights weren't really like that, were they? They would just sort of like go out and be like, "Hey lads," and like like
I just think my management approach has always been like to be like invested and create a community feel, because those are the best workplaces that I've like encountered in bars that I've worked in or other jobs. And the jobs I haven't enjoyed are the ones where I felt really alienated and like I can't talk to my boss, or like I don't have anything in common with the people around me. So it was always really important for me to encourage like everyone hanging out and being friends and drinking, and like we'd go on nights out and little staff parties and, you know, drink like whilst we're on shift. And I did my best to like look after everybody and make sure everyone was okay and nurture that like environment. I mean, sometimes people took the piss, and sometimes there was like tough situations, and sometimes I
it was always fine.
Sometimes I'd have to give people a telling off, which I hated doing, but people would like push it too much. And I think because I was too friendly with people, I think that blurred the lines between like management and how you're supposed to react and I'm very open as well. And I know there's definitely been times where I've like maybe let you guys in too much on like the stress behind the scene of stuff, or I've been like, I'm really stressed because this is going on, and maybe as a manager I should have kept that to myself. But I think like at the time that was where I was at, and I just firmly believed in like being very like communicative and open with everybody so that everyone knew we were on the same page. And I think that fostered a little like gang mentality that we had, and it meant that I had loyal, hardworking people work for me for such years. A long time. And everyone's friends now, you know.
We are, I mean, well, it was at lockdown when we had that. We watched the Fat Lip DJ set, and that was great. As like the team up crew and
like bombarding the comments with team up.
Yeah, those were good times. Well, I say those were good times. Well, it was a long time ago now. It's like 6 months or something. The start of lockdown, wasn't it? So that's fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, but some of us still did weekly quizzes and like weekly hangouts and chats and drinking, and then after the quiz, we'd just play team up music every Saturday and play the Welsh national anthem, of course. Represent Cardiff.
I remember after that the Fat Lip DJ set, I was like the live stream one, I was pretty fucking wasted, and after I got off it I was like, oh god, like it's all too much.
Yeah, the hangovers have been
they've been crazy, man. I think it's strange, like when you do get wasted, you're just like sat down like just like chatting to mates or something, and then you get up like during lockdown, you're like, oh god, I don't feel so good.
so yeah, it's drinking at home and trying to have that like team up vibe is very different to being at team up. Where you've got the smokers area, you can go and have a breather in and a chat, and and when you're just on your own, like intensely gazing at a screen, it gets a bit much. I am being bombarded with messages from people saying that they didn't get a shout out there and stuff. So thanks Ren and Carl for being really good DJs. When I said hardworking people, obviously I meant you guys as well. Probably at nigh on 100 staff I've had over the last 8 years, but especially thanks to those guys.
Indeed. I haven't checked the comments at all, but
they're just private messaging me as other people. I'm just turn my phone off.
On a slightly different note then, I guess, if we talk, well, it's not that different really, we could talk a little bit about how you co-founded Heads Above the Waves then. When was that? I feel like you were always doing that as long as I've known you.
So that was like 2013, but I think it was really the arse end of 2012 that myself and my friend Si and Griff had been like trying to get something together and think about what we were going to do with it. And so that's been I'd say like Team Up and Heads Above the Waves have like the same trajectory of, it was about the same time where I took over Team Up and then started Heads officially with Si and Griff. So Heads Above the Waves is a not-for-profit that I run that supports young people who like deal with self-harm and mental health issues. We do workshops in school. We've got a shop in town. We've got a website with lots of advice and coping techniques. If you want to check us out on any socials, if anyone's watching this or listening, with Heads Above the Waves on everything, and our website is hatw.co.uk. There's loads of good information on there. But yeah, there's like a lot of crossover with like music, because that was a big mental health coping technique, as I like touched upon earlier. Like putting on gigs and live music is a massive coping technique for my mental health. So I definitely got to a point at the end of lockdown where I just like broke down to my boyfriend and I was like, I haven't got my coping techniques at the moment, and I've tried the last couple of months, but I haven't been to a gig, and that's like such a release for me, and I haven't done Team Up, and I just feel really rubbish about myself because I've got nothing. So we've been trying to do little like gigs from home, you know, watching little live sets and turning the lights off and having a tinny, and my boyfriend will knock into me every now and again and pretend we're we don't do that. But yeah, it's just about like trying to find like ways around that. So watching live streams of DJ sets is a really good little, you know, little outlet and a bit of fun to blow off some steam upon an evening. But yeah, it's tough. But yeah, Heads Above the Waves is really cool. That's what that's like my day job, and then like the event stuff is my evening job.
Did you find doing the DJ sets at Team Up? Because I remember when I first started, I think it was maybe Asteroid Boys was one of the first ones I remember you doing a guest DJ set.
Years ago.
That was years ago, yeah. Did you use sort of like those contacts to help you with Heads then? Because you also did some sort of like guest stuff, I guess, with Heads, like did the music roundtables and things like that.
Yeah, we've done lots of interviews with bands over the years and stuff. And I think just being a part of the community is really good, because you can kind of like, you just expose yourself to people and you network, and you kind of go, I do this other thing, and could we get a chat with you at some point? And, you know, we've worked with a lot of bands over the years. The music roundtable was good. That was where we got a bunch of people from the Cardiff scene who were promoters or DJs or musicians in bands. And we just sat down and we just asked them I just asked them loads of questions about their mental health, like how they deal with stuff. And I was going to tell you that story. It was a really funny night, actually, because it was a really long night. We were filming it, and it was our mate group started Heads with us, the production company that were filming it for us. And they're like the nicest guys. But it was a really long night, and we were just like, everyone was like talking loads, which was fantastic. But I think I'd had a really long work. I'd had a really long day in the shop and then gone straight into this filming thing. And I think there was a point in my head where I was just like, it makes sense now to wrap up. So I was just like, someone was talking and I was like, yeah, interesting. Well, thank you all for being here. That's very good. That's the end. And just like shut it down. And everyone was like, what are you on about? We're in the middle of filming. And I was like, and they were like, keep going. And I was like,
oh, come on. I've had enough. Come on, I'm done.
I was like, I'm over this now. And I think that's just
you're a freak.
It's just who I am, isn't it? Just rubbish. But I just shut down and I was like, well, yeah, we're done with it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Come on.
We had to keep filming, and I had to be like go back into like positive chair discussion mode.
Mate.
And I just walked away from that, and I was like, that was really unprofessional. But I was just done. I was so tired. This is a lesson I've learned in events. Though, is you got to push through, baby. You have got to push through.
You have got to push through. I think there's. It's hard getting that level of professionalism right, I think. You know, I know when I started doing...
What are you going to say here now?
Nothing, just I know when I started doing shows, you know, before Tone Deaf Creatures, when Zach Nonley and I were doing it at Wales, and we had a show on, and we'd lost a lot of money on a couple of shows before that one, and I had a bottle of Jägermeister at home. I was like, I'll just bring it with me, and I'll just be like, anyone who comes down, it'll be a free Jaeger bomb on the door. So this was like, I brought in my own booze and my own energy drink.
Oh my God.
Which, thinking back on it now, is really, really fucking bad. I mean, it's probably illegal. I don't know.
You can use like free drinks as a marketing tool. I don't think.
Yeah, I know. So
don't even say what venue it was at, because we don't want.
No, I'm not going to say what venue it was. I'm not going to say what venue it was. But I think on that note, speaking of professionalism and Jaeger bombs, maybe we could enjoy these. Actually, I think.
Oh well, yeah. Well, let's recap the history of the Jaeger bomb and Team Up, because actually,
that sounds good.
I wanted to ask you, because so Ethan, you did promo for me for a long time, and then you kind of unofficially became like head promo, and then you moved up to like my assistant, essentially, like host of Team Up on the door. Yeah. So you were the face that people saw when they came in, like managing the bookings, keeping an eye on the door, the girls on the door. And as I started DJing more and more, you were like basically the person running the show on the floor, so I could play the music and save like some money from the DJing fee. and now you're a DJ. So how have you found that transition?
it's been interesting. I think I suppose because it was, you know, I like to say that, oh, I worked for you for like 6 years, 7 years, or whatever it is now. It makes it seem like it was like, you know, long periods of time. It was really hard, but it was only every Friday really, and I enjoyed being there. So it happened really gradually, and I guess I kind of took it for granted, like how much I was enjoying it at the time, and how much I was learning as well from like watching you do things and watching people progress. So it always just felt like just naturally to move forward with that, and I was always eager to do that bit more for you, because like I could tell how much you enjoyed it and you wanted to be there, and how much it all meant to you as well. And you know, I would always encourage people to come and like big up the event and stuff, because I knew that it meant a lot to you, and that made it mean a lot to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, so
yeah. I have so many friends who are really self-sufficient with their events, and they're like, my dream is for the event to run without me being there, because like then it's just taking over and the team are working so well, and I'm like, that's so class. But I'm like, why would I not want to be there? Like, I love Team Up so much, and I feel you do as well. Like in a way, it's your baby as well, because you've been such a face of the night and you've worked so hard for me for so long. Yes, it's only every Friday, but like it's just something that's become such a big part of our life. And who we are as people as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I didn't mean like it was only a Friday, so like whatever. Like, I think I said to you before, we had sort of like a staff meeting maybe in like 2014 or 2015, and I remember saying to you, although it's like a part-time job, I don't see it as a part-time job. It was just my job. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like a throwaway thing. And I think that's because you always sort of instilled that on us as well. You know, it's just like, it was something that was more than just, you know, 6 hours on a Friday night. It was like a community, and it was a community and like a lifestyle sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why we all got fucking tattoos of the BPM of Heroes Get Remembered, Legends Never Die on ourselves, which is, I'll get it out, but it's on my ankle, so it's a bit like.
Oh yeah, do you know what? The amount of times you boys have like dropped your trousers and been like, oh, there's my dad, and I'm like,
get
your trousers up, like we don't want to see a thigh tattoo of the Team Up thing, but
yeah.
Well, anyway, the history of the Jaeger bombs.
The history of the Jaeger bomb
career is that we had Thomas Nicholas to DJ quite a few times, who is Kevin from American Pie. And you boys thought it was really funny that what's the bit in the films? It's like there's always a scene at the end, right?
Yeah, so Kevin from American Pie in the first one, he's like, oh guys, like, you know, to the next step. And then we'd be like, whenever he was there, we'd get a fucking couple of Jaeger bombs in, and we'd all be like, to the next step, because he DJ'd like 4 times, you know.
He did. He DJ'd for us a lot. We'd be
like, hey, to the next step, Kevin. So then it was just like Jaeger bombs, and then of course, you know, Alex, who worked behind the bar, he was very partial to the Jaeger bombs, and
yeah, when he passed away, it was something that was like really nice to like unify us all, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the next step became like almost some of our friends don't have a next step anymore. Oh, this is really sad, but like, so we're gonna make the best of our next step. So it's to the next step, and it's said with such joy that I always think of Alex every time, and I'll always say Baker, you know, when we drink it as a tribute to our friend Alex Baker. But yeah, it's almost like a tradition at Team Up that we have a Jaeger bomb a couple of times through the shift, maybe too many times during the shift.
Too many times, man.
Too many times. And then you can't sleep, and then you're really ill the next day. So yeah, when we moved, I was just saying to Ethan now, when we moved over to Kongs, I was like, oh, it's a lovely venue. Yeah, lovely. Can't wait to be here. Great. And I was like, the only thing is, we're going to need Jaeger bombs. And they were like, yeah, we don't really do bombs, or like, we're not really like a shot kind of bar, or like a nice beer. And I was like, you're going to have to, like, if there's any way you can do it, it's really important to us. And I think they were a bit like, what are you on about? But I was like, it's so,
why do Jaeger bombs mean this much
so ingrained in the Team Up tapestry. And obviously, you know, drink responsibly. We never encourage anybody to like go mad, but it's just about having that little toast, you know, in the good times, the bad times. I know Luke from Metros has definitely come and drunk like an obscene amount, that when he tells me, I just like start crying, because no one should drink that amount. I think his record was like 40, which is we do not encourage that. Bless you, Luke, for doing that, but like, no, don't do that.
It's not
That's
good.
really
it's not
bad
good.
for you.
I think, to be fair, it was always, I think it was like a Messerschmitt or something. So it was like a 12. It was like a 12% herbal liqueur. So it wasn't quite a Jaeger bomb, but
we've treated ourselves today.
We have treated ourselves, which brings us nicely.
A little mini Jaeger. You should get a sponsorship for this.
We should get a sponsorship.
I've been trying to get a Jaeger sponsorship for years, but yeah, let's.
So we're gonna pop these.
Let's do a little.
We've even got Red Bull. So look at that. My goodness.
Yeah, I went all out, man. I got like branded stuff,
Which is nice because we never had anything this nice in Bunker. It was always.
We had a club, didn't we? When we were at Welsh Club, when Team went to Welsh Club for a bit.
Oh, memories. Maybe I don't know why we're smelling it as though like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, it's hoppy.
Oh yeah, you can smell the sugar.
I would like to stipulate, everyone please drink responsibly. We're just doing a little tribute now to Team Up, to our friendship, to tonight. And to, of course, our friend Alex Baker. So cheers, boy, to the next step.
To the next step. There we are.
Good times.
Good times. I guess that brings us nicely talking of good times.
About next.
Talking nicely of the good times. It's not always easy though, is it? Like running events, like we said, it is a lifestyle and it is a community, which does mean it can sometimes take up a little bit more than you would like, I guess. And I know from personal experience, there's been times when you've really struggled with juggling everything. What would you say helps you do that, or has made you able to do it for so long, do you think, to manage everything?
Dude, honestly, it's because I love the night and I love the music and I love the people that go so much. Like, I've met all of my best friends in Cardiff, like not my like best friends I've been friends with since I was like 11, but like my Cardiff crew I've all met through Team Up, and all the DJs are like my best mates, all the promo staff are like my best mates, the girls on the door are my best mates, my sister worked for me for years. Like, it's
shout out
Harriet Morgan in Australia. What a girl.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it so real. Finger pointing, loving life. Yeah, it's like, that's the stuff that keeps me going. And I've just had times where, like, especially like when Alex passed away, just the way that everyone came together and supported each other. People put all their like petty dramas or friendship stuff aside, and everyone was just there for each other. And it was like incredible. It was overwhelming. And dude, I just love the music. I just live and breathe it. It's just like, it defines like so much of who I am, that even though I do like moan and I get tired and I'm exhausted and I'm trying to juggle like Heads Above the Waves and other jobs so that I've got income coming in and then the club night stuff, I would never stop doing it. And I think I'm getting to a ripe old age now. How much longer are you going to do this for? Like, what are you going to, and I'm like, why would I not keep doing it? Like I said to you earlier, even if I'm the only person in the room, I'm still going to do Team Up until I can't do Team Up anymore, even if it's just me sat listening to playlists over and over again, because some of the songs I've been listening to since I was like 11, 12, and then I play them every week multiple times when I DJ at Team Up, or I'm at Team Up, or when I'm DJing for my friend Rob's night. Thanks for the memories. That is in a few different cities around the UK when club nights are on.
Indeed.
And I'm just like, what? Like, I would never not listen to this music and be a part of it. So the stress outweighs the love I have for it. And I hope that, like, when my family and friends are like, I literally can't hear you talk or moan about some of the behind the scenes stuff with club night anymore, because it's all you talk about and you're so stressed. Why don't you just knock it on the head? I hope they realize that it's because I love it so much.
Yeah.
And it has been stressful. There's been like, I worked in, one of the venues that we worked with in Team Up for many years, and there was a really toxic like management side of things with the bar. So I was just constantly being told like every week that if I don't make X amount of money or whatever, that I was going to lose my job. And not only that, then that I don't care about my job, but I care about my 20 friends who I've employed, who kind of rely on that little bit of extra money coming in to like support themselves and help themselves out financially. And I care about the community we've built up. So yeah, it's been tough, and there's been a lot of issues. It's not been an easy ride. It's been a fight every day.
I remember when we were, sorry to interject,
no, go on,
talking about it, and you referring to the managers in one of the venues where we had issues. There were it wasn't always easy for you. And I remember you struggling a few times, and we were all sure that they spoke to you differently because of the way you were, because of your interests, and also because of your gender as well. And that's another thing you had to deal with, wasn't it? Multiple times.
Yeah, I definitely felt that there was times where I'd be like berated for something that I hadn't done anything wrong, but I think there was just like a weird power play thing going on because I was the night bringing in the only money to the venue.
Yeah.
Where I would be like put down, or they felt like they could bully me into certain things, or working harder, or working for them for free, or working for less money. And I had things leveled at me a lot, like, oh, are you going to cry now?
Yeah.
Oh, are you on your period? And I'd just be so completely shocked and taken aback. And I'd say, like, I don't think you'd speak to me like this if I was a male events manager. And they'd be like, oh, you're on that bandwagon. And I'd be like, well, no, I'm just like, respect me. I'm like earning this money, like good revenue on your bar take. Like, we're doing a lot, and I don't expect to be treated like this. And that was like, yeah, there's a lot to go.
It was shit, man. It was shit because
shit. Well said. Yes.
It was shit, and yeah, it was rough for sure.
But it's those things that like spur me on. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I never gave up. We moved venue at one point, but then we moved back when those guys were gone, just to kind of prove a point that they were the reason why Team Up was a really tough thing for me to have to go through every week there. And it got so much better after that with my relationship with the venue. As soon as like the guys bullying me were out, we went back. It was class.
Those are some good years. Sat here with like a pipe, like, those were some good years.
It's a good times. Halcyon days.
I'm sorry.
They were good. But you know what? Like, that's like I said to you just when we had a little brief chat before this, that you know, I was talking to my boyfriend Ed this morning, being like, oh, what shall I say that's going to be useful? And I think the one thing I did definitely want to say was, if you're, you know, a woman and a non-binary person, a trans person working in the events industry, you know, it's really tough. And make sure you've got good people around you that can support you and build you up when like dickheads tear you down and make you feel rubbish. And also, you know, let that disbelief and that doubt that people like have of your abilities fuel you to prove them wrong, and don't give up, because I didn't. And now we're in a much better situation, in a really good venue that well, when we get to finally do a Team Up again, we're in a venue that like appreciate what we're doing and are really supportive of it, and have like just a lovely attitude towards us and are really professional. And what more can you ask for when you're running an event, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's true, man. It's fucking mad, like, to think about, you know, just I guess because it's sort of like something that people are, like we were saying earlier, it's this kind of like self-taught. You don't always know where you stand, and everyone sort of has a different way of running running things, like how maybe you take for granted how you should be treated, or because like you're around booze, people treat you differently. But like, there's some basic things that like everyone in a workplace just needs to have, and it doesn't always happen, does it?
Yeah, just politeness and respect.
Politeness.
Don't swear at people. Don't invade people's personal space, especially now, even more now. Like, it's
bugged. Yeah. Talking a little bit about, you know, you said if you could talk to yourself a couple of years ago, or give yourself any advice. I know there's been some times when you've had offers from other people, you know, maybe relating to move-in places or running other events. How do you feel about that, like looking back about it all? Because I know you mentioned, won't name any club nights, but they asked you to take things on, didn't they? And maybe move on.
Yeah, and I've had some really lovely meetings with lovely venues and lovely different events companies and different brands and nights and venues. And I think that there's, you know, events has always been something I'm passionate about and really interested in. But I think when I found Team Up and created Team Up, that I was just like, I'm home. This is all I want to do. And like, it'd be cool to do bigger and better stuff. And I very much admire pretty much everyone else I know who works in events is constantly like looking for the next thing, and like, how can I spread my work to more people, and how can I engage like a bigger audience, and how can I do more and raise more of my profile. But I'm really happy just running Team Up. Like, I love it. I feel like this interview is just me going, I love my job.
Let's have another Jaeger bomb.
I love Team Up so much, and it's everything to me. And in some ways now I'm like, oh, I could have probably done some different stuff. My life could have taken like many different directions, but I feel like, for all the reasons I just said, that, you know, the position I'm in Cardiff, the friends I have, and the community that we've created is so important to me. And I think in Team Up, I was able to, like, I didn't have to like bend to anyone's will. Yes, I worked with a difficult venue for a couple of years, but, you know, I was still doing exactly what I wanted and proving that my formula worked every time. Yeah. Like when I took over, a lot of club nights in the UK, a lot of alt nights, and like, I'm not dissing them at all, they're smashing it and doing their own thing, but there was a lot of like using sexualizing of women to sell their night and be like, oh, there's, you know, we've got like fire girls and come down and pull a bird, and, you know, we're going to do a wet t-shirt contest and stuff. And like, that stuff works like fine for certain clubs, that's awesome. But for me, I was like, I don't want to market my night like that. I want to like be really inclusive and really safe. And we've always like fought to make Team Up as inclusive and as like safe a space as I can, and make everyone feel comfortable and have like the right to go out and not get harassed or like touched up or like, you know, and it happens in the night, which is like frustrating for me, but I haven't got eyes everywhere, and, you know, you can't trust everyone to keep everyone safe. But, and when you've got alcohol involved, people are, you know, do things that they wouldn't normally do. But I hope that we've made Team Up a space where as soon as someone does feel uncomfortable, they immediately come and tell me. Or it used to be the girls that did like the face paint, the glitter on the faces and stuff that we used to have, they were a little good safe space, or the bouncers, or one of the DJs and one of the bar staff, that people can be like, this guy's making me feel really uncomfortable, and we take them out straight away. We've always really tried to stress that. We were like the first alternative night, and I think like major club night that wasn't an LGBTQ plus club, to have a non-binary toilet space, which was something I was so proud of. We got like death threats for doing that. I had someone come up and say they were gonna commit sexual assault on people because I had a non-binary toilet, which was
so strange.
Just so bonkers, strange. Just absolutely blew my mind.
I was
that would be such an issue.
Yeah, I was, to be honest, I mean, it makes me sound quite ignorant. Obviously, it's like LGBT is, it's a large spectrum, I suppose. But I remember when you did that, the non-binary toilet, I was like almost not even really aware of what it meant, which is funny to think it wasn't even that long ago. But it's like, thinking back on it now, it's like, it's almost shit that like more places haven't, you know what I mean? Like, you were quite ahead, not ahead of the times, because it's not like a trend or anything, but like, it's still not something that I feel like is really thought of at all, which is quite shit.
Yeah, and I think when like venues are like revamping or like, you know, remodeling themselves in Cardiff, I'm always like, hey, have a non-binary toilet. It's really important. And I know when we posted about the non-binary toilet first, aside from the death threats, we had members of the trans community being like, well, I want to use the toilet of my gender. And I'd be like, yes, you can use, you know, whatever toilet you want. We're just offering another space for anybody who doesn't feel safe or doesn't want to go in the girls or the boys toilets, because gender is a spectrum, and we just want to kind of include everybody and have everyone feel safe. And the beauty of that toilet in that venue was there was two little loos next to each other, so, you know, you can go and sit with a pal and pee together, which is what people do, you know, in club and stuff, and you can have a little fun. Yeah. And I mean, you'd often find like empty bottles of vodka and cans in there that you'd be like, oh, that's not what this toilet is for, guys, come on, like, it's a safe space.
This is a safe space, not a space for vodka.
That was a bit of a nightmare, but you know, I've just always just tried to make it, you know, to be someone who's like, you know, come down and have a safe night, and we don't want you to feel uncomfortable. You absolutely have the right to come and party and be as safe as you can. I wish we could have done more to make the venue accessible, like for people with disabilities, but my hands are tied with like what the venue are willing to give me and what they can do, and there's things that I put in place, but I wish we could have done more. And I hope like moving forward now with Kongs that we can do as much, you know, as much as we can to make it that kind of same environment.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it, to think about all of that, and this. Well, it's not strange in that it shouldn't be thought of, but it's not really, especially in something like club nights, you know. If I'd like messaged someone else 7 years ago about doing promo while I was in my first year of uni, my life would probably be very, very different. But I'm very glad that yeah, I think so. But I'm glad. I'm so glad that I messaged you all those years ago and was just like, can I have a job? Because I'd learned so much from you, man. Like, seriously, it's been It's been fucking crazy thinking back on it all now. We've like had a couple of drinks and that.
Like,
yeah, oh god.
Just have a little cry. So it's like how Team Up ends with us going back.
Yeah.
Me being like, why aren't people coming out anymore? And being like dissecting the night with you and like,
yeah. They just don't understand these kids.
People just don't drink anymore, man. This is the whole thing. Like, this is what we were going to say. Like, drinking culture has just totally changed in Cardiff, and I think a lot of businesses are feeling it. So when I went back to the venue we were at, I sat down they called me in for a meeting, the directors and the managers, and I thought I was going to get told off again. And why aren't you making enough money? And they were like, no, everywhere's down. We get it. No one's making money. Club nights are dead. And I just think the world has changed so much now, and you've just got to think on your feet and adapt and just try and keep like pushing and stick by your guns with it and just be like, yeah. And I think that's what we've done throughout Team Up, and that's why it's nice to have a little reflect tonight and get a little bit emotional. Yeah,
it's true. I suppose I mean, me and Fee were out in Tonnereville earlier, and we went to that's the village where she's from. Okay. And we went to the Conservative Club in the village, and we sort of had a drink with all the old boys in there. And it's sometimes you just got to stick to your guns, haven't you? Something like a working's men's club, they're not proper popular anymore, but I suppose things change, communities change, don't they? That's the point I'm trying to make. And something like that, working's men's club is different, and it's older, but this is a different kind of community, and things are always changing. You've got to think on your feet.
We're a night based on nostalgia as well, so as much as we can have forward thinking progressive views and do what we can to do our bit to make everyone feel safe and whatever in the night, the music is always going to be the same bloody songs that we've always played. I tell you what though, dude, I can't wait to come back because there's been so much new stuff happening. I was chatting to the DJs earlier, and I think some of the best alt music that's come out over the last couple of months has been by pop artists or hip hop artists like Machine Gun Kelly. Have you
and Youngblood?
Kelly and Youngblood, yeah.
Shout out those boys.
Yeah, I'm Youngblood.
I'm Youngblood.
I can't wait to play that kind of stuff when we come back, and and hope kind of like grow a bit and expand.
Their collab song is going to go off.
We started playing it just before lockdown. I definitely played it at a few Thanks for the Memories, and I definitely played it at a few Team Ups. So
it's gonna go off.
Yeah,
so good. Big up the alt boys.
Yeah, well, this is it.
Man,
we'll still be playing Paramore and taking back some
I mean,
jazz.
You can go in and 9 out of 10 songs pretty much everyone will know, I think. Well, maybe not everyone, but if you wore a fingerless glove when you were in school, you'll probably know.
Even if you didn't and you were just like you wanted to wear a fingerless glove, we're the place for you, man. You can come and live your emo fantasy.
Yeah. I really like that meme you shared the other day, and it was like absolutely no one, and it was the Smokers in Team Up. And it was like all the 14-year-old scene kids like sat down.
But that's what Team Up's like. It's just all the emos in Cardiff all coming together and sat on the windowsill
living their best lives,
having a therapy sesh with their best mates.
That's it.
That's exactly what Team Up is. It's just about being with your best pals and having a good time. Right. I feel like this whole chat is just going to go over so many people's heads if they haven't Team Up or to their local emo night. But I think everyone, if you like music, you probably have listened to some Green Day or Fall Out Boy or Blink-182, whatever. And I think it'll resonate with people, because everyone's had that like scene moment or like connected with music in some way and found themselves in a weird alt night, club night at some point, and seen someone with a fingerless glove drinking a Jaeger bomb.
All right, I think that's probably pretty much everything we needed to talk about now. I think because it's been beautiful talking to you about it, Hannah. I've really enjoyed it. Unless there's anything else you maybe wanted to finish on.
I wanted to do like a one piece of advice thing because again, chatting to my mates earlier, I was like, when was we were talking about Team Up, like me and the DJs tonight, all the lovely DJs that are out still in Fuel, having a few bank holiday beers, and they were like saying about, do you remember the Death of Anna DJ set? Do you remember the State Champs DJ set? Or do you remember the Architects after party? Or do you remember that night where we fell over or we were sick on the dance floor or something? They were telling me all these things, and I was like, I don't remember. I just
so many good nights.
Don't really remember. And I think that's because when you're an events manager and you're a bit of a stress head like me, a bit of a type A personality, you're trying to over organize everything and make sure everyone in the building's okay. They're messaging me going, yes lads, yes, you got a shout out, boys. Yeah, when you're in it, you don't often like get a chance to step back, and especially when our venue shut in January, and especially now not being able to do club night still, I miss it so much. And I think it's really good to stand back and stop occasionally and be like, this is a great night, and this is really fun, and there's lots of people here having a lovely time. And I think when you're in it and you're rushing about, you maybe don't give yourself that like that moment to like take it all in and be like, wow, this is sick. So I think if you are an events manager, I think we're all in a really tough position right now, but it's just about when we can come back, it's just really, I know everyone will appreciate so much more everything that everyone's doing, whether it's gigs, whether it's club nights, whether it's acoustic shows, whether it's cover bands, whether it's like producing music, whether it's whatever your bag is. I think just really relish it and take that moment, because you never know when you're not going to be able to do it again. So it's really important. I bet you're like raring to put gigs on again and do like come and DJ and play like, oh, what shit do you play in team up? So
all the good stuff. All the good stuff,
all
man.
the things she said, share.
That is a jam, okay? I mean, you can throw scorn at all the things she said, but the dance floor goes mad. All right.
I think what it is you go mad and you close
and
your eyes.
And then I'm so drunk. I'm like, oh my God.
That was the best. There was 3,000 people there. And I'm like,
everyone loved it. Everyone brought me a drink. This is the best night of my life.
Oh God.
I think that's very well said, man.
It's important, isn't it? You just got to take stock and be like, yeah, fair play. This is sick. I'm loving doing this. Everyone's having a great time. Brilliant.
Yeah, for sure.
I never gave myself that opportunity, and I wish I had now, thinking back on it.
Yeah. I know. I don't know why we got so wistful there. We were like, oh yeah.
It's because I haven't been to a gig for months, dude. I'm like desperate. Dark. I'm like booking festivals next year, like tickets and hotels, and I'm like, oh, it might not happen, but I need something to look forward to.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping. Well, you can't really do anything else other than hope and reminisce, I guess, for the time being.
Like everyone, just wear a mask and keep yourself safe and stuff. Then it'll we'll help in the music industry get back to where it was. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, that was a beautiful chat, Anna. Thank you so much for joining me this evening.
You're very welcome, baby.
I think we discussed some excellent things there. It was really, really enlightening. You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
We're very blessed to be in Cardiff.
We are blessed to be in Cardiff. You know what? I mean, people take a lot for granted, don't they? But it's a beautiful city, and we're having a lovely time, and Cardiff indeed. Praise for this Foster's. It's been incredible, and thank you for the Jägermeister. Thank you for joining me this evening, people who've watched, and thank you, Hannah, for chatting with me. So
no problem.
Get back to fuel, and I will see you soon, my friend.
Yeah, see you soon, buddy. I miss you.
Yeah, I miss you too. Team up soon. It's going to be so good when it's back.
Team up.
Nice, man. All right, ta-da. Cheers. All the best. Bye.